Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining me here today so that we could discuss Mr. McMahon. So this is a six-part docuseries from Netflix about Vince McMahon, WWE kingpin who built a pro wrestling empire worth billions and billions. This docuseries follows his life from his childhood until very recently, covers most of the major, phases of his life, growing up, meeting his dad for the first time, getting involved in the wrestling business, buying into the wrestling business, kind of his vision for how he wanted to evolve things into a national type of situation. And then, of course, what happened after that with the Monday Night Wars and so on and so forth until the modern day. So the main thing I've seen about this documentary is people are complaining. They think it's unfair to Vince and it makes him look bad. Like, what do you what did you expect? The Janelle Grant stuff is such a minuscule part of this story. It's at the very end and it's only like a few minutes long. It's not a focus. It's not even a major part of this docuseries. This is like a 6-hour docuseries where 5 to 10 minutes is devoted to that topic. And it is pretty big news. And all they do in those segments is show, some of the quotes from the legal documents, some of the text messages, and some of the media coverage. That part of the story is obviously bad if it's true. But we hear from in his own words, out of his own mouth, so much creepy, weird, out-of-pocket stuff in this documentary, and he's telling us that this is what he wants us to see. Imagine the stuff that he's not saying, and he says he says it openly that like there's so many stories that he just will not tell because of how they'd make him look. Aside from that, I think this is a fantastic documentary. I think this is so well made. The editing is great. All the technical aspects are great. The pacing is great. Here's where wrestling fans, I think, are going to have an issue with this, is that they already know this stuff. And you need to realize that this is made by mainstream filmmakers for a mainstream audience. Yes, we know about the Monday Night War as wrestling fans. We know about the Montreal Screwjob, but not everybody does. And if things are important to Vince's life and his career, then we need them presented here with some context, and that's what we have. And I think wrestling fans are so used to shoot interviews and documentaries that pander to them and try to get to find the stuff that nobody knows. And like in this case, there's only you can only talk about Vince's childhood so much because he's the source of the information. So like if he doesn't want to tell you, you're not going to find out. So basically, like I understand it if you're a wrestling fan and you're frustrated because like, oh, I knew all this stuff. This feels like a history lesson. It is. That's the point of this documentary. People who have no idea about pro wrestling can watch this and they're caught up on a lot of stuff. Like it doesn't spend a lot of time on a lot of these topics, but it's enough to get people context and up to speed and how it fits into the larger arc of WWE being built and then of course Vince McMahon. So I get it. You wanted like some revelations and deep cuts. That's not what this is. This is a mainstream docuseries just to educate the general public and tell the story of WWE and Vince McMahon. So yeah, I would have liked some more hidden stories or whatnot, but I thought it was great that they had the founder of USA on there. I thought there were some really great sound bites from that. I thought Tony Atlas was fantastic here. I mean, I thought he was super entertaining. I thought the rest of the interviews were okay. I mean, you can tell a lot of them were like sourced from other projects, so not specifically for this, but it still fit in pretty well. I thought this was probably one of the best overall wrestling documentaries I've ever seen. No, it didn't have a lot of new information for me as somebody who keeps up to date on wrestling and who's lived through a lot of these events. But it's really well made, and for people who don't know wrestling or who know, just a little bit about wrestling, it's incredibly informative. And at the end of the day, I get it. If you think this is harsh on Vince or you think it's whatever, I don't think it was. I think if anything, it kind of took it easy on him. They let Pritchard come in and sweep for him. They let a lot of people say positive things about him, and then and again, to me, the worst parts of this, aside from the Janelle Grant stuff, were things that Vince said himself about himself. But I thought this was a fantastic documentary, and I definitely recommend it. Even if you're not a fan of wrestling, this is just such a great story. It's super interesting, and I just thought it was so well made. Anyway, that's my review of Mr. McMahon from Netflix. If you want to check out more, there's a ton of movie reviews right here on YouTube in my movie review playlist. But until then, thanks for watching this one. I greatly appreciate it. Sorry I rambled on a little bit here, but anyway, hopefully I'll see you soon.